Hey friends, my name is Linda Dolke. I'm a demonstrator with Stampin'Up in Australia, and today we're going to be making this cute card. I love all the textures. I hope you can see them well there in the picture. I think it turned out lovely and it's not hard to make, so if you'd like to make one too, follow along and I'll show you how. So our card today is this cool card, and actually, although I'm making it in green today, I wanted to show you that you can actually change the colors a little bit. For this one I used Blackberry Bliss, and it's exactly the same card, but of course it looks quite different with the different colors. So this is the one I'm going to be making, but I just wanted to show you by a simple change of colors you can get a really beautiful effect that gives it a completely different feel. Okay, so this card today, I've actually used a number of different textures, and that's kind of, I hope you can see that we have a lot of different textures on here. So the linen paper is the star of this particular card. We've also got some of this fabulous In Good Taste designer series paper in the background here that has all these great textural kind of designs. And then we also have some splatter, some writing, we have some sponging, and we have some stamping. So we've got a whole bunch of different things going along, and yeah, it's actually a very simple card. So let's pop it to one side and I'll show you what we're going to use. Today we're using the Quiet Meadow bundle. It's this great stamp set called Quiet Meadow. Okay, and that's our background lettering stamp. There's the splatter that I've used, and I've also used the word love on a little tag. Can you see that there? And the tag and some of the other shapes on the card come from the matching die set. So this is a great set of dies. It's got some really fantastic different shapes in it. There's butterflies, there's different leaves and flowers, and this looks kind of like a cornflower. A whole bunch of different things going on. There's a tag that you can put sentiments on, and here's the little tag that we've put the word love on in our card today. So I want to quickly show you where it is in the catalogue, and then we'll get started straight away. It's on page 110 if you're looking for it, of the current annual catalogue. This is the 2021 to 2022 annual catalogue. And so on page 110 you'll find the Quiet Meadow stamp set and then the matching bundle, matching dies, which make a bundle at 10% off. Okay, so look out for those in your catalogue if you're wondering where to find them. Okay, so let's move these out of the way and bring in the pieces for the card. And as you can see, there's actually not that many pieces. I've got my base cardstock here. This is I'm just using basic white, but you could use whatever neutral colored cardstock you happen to be using. I've got a sheet of A4 cardstock that I've cut in half, and now I'm folding it in half again to make my card base. I'll pop that aside for now. Then we have a piece of Evening Evergreen. This has been cut at 10 centimeters wide by 14.3 long, and that perfectly fits inside the card base that we just folded a moment ago. So you'll see it fits right on there with a little bit of a border all the way around. That's the perfect measurement. Okay, I've also got a piece of DSP designer series paper here. This is the In Good Taste paper. If you're watching this in July 2021, this stuff is on sale right now, so you definitely want to check out the online store and get yourself a bargain while you can. So I'm just deciding which way this is going to look better. You can see it's kind of like bricks here, and I've got this piece here with like the light color showing around the edges, or I could have it going the other way, and you can see it's darker on that side there. So I'm just deciding which way I want it to go. I actually think I like the bricks going this way. I'm going to pop them straight on. You can use Tombow multi-purpose, you can use seal, or you could use double-sided tape, whatever particular adhesive is your favorite, that's the best one to use. So I'm just going to use some Tombow here to quickly pop this on. But yeah, you could use whatever adhesive you happen to have. Whoops, I said I was going to go this way. All right, and so I'm putting this over to the left-hand side. I could have covered the whole thing, but I like the idea of going a little bit asymmetrical, and I think it creates a little bit more interest on the card. Now this piece is going to end up right here, over here on the kind of slightly to the right hand side. So I'll pop this aside with my card base for now, and let's get to work here. Now this is a beautiful linen paper that was in this most recent catalogue, and the cool thing about it is that you can actually pull the back off because it's adhesive, so the back does peel off so you can stick it on. But before we do that, I've cut out a shape here with one of those dies I showed you a moment ago, and this particular one I think is a nice one because you've got your flower at the top and we've got some leaves and a bud there, so it's got a bit of interesting stuff going on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in one of our fantastic blending brushes. Blending brushes work really, really well with the linen paper. I mean, they work well with any paper, but I really, really like how they look on this linen. And I'm using the color Soft Succulent. I'm going to pick up some ink straight from the ink pad. I'm going to hold this down. I've got it sort of here. Once I decide where I want to put it, I'm going to keep it in this position. So I'm just going to hold my fingers here to hold it still. And then I'm going to start by sponging directly over. It's moving a little bit. So I'm going to sponge directly over my flower. And don't worry about what it does to the flower itself, because what we're really interested in is what it's going to do. You can start to see it's leaving a mark behind here. The cool thing is if you do move it, really, really easy to pop it back into position. So I'm going to start out holding one side and I'm going to go over to the other side. If you don't like the way for example, I don't know if you can see here, this looks really great. It's blended beautifully on this side, but I've got a bit of a mark over here. That's not something to worry about, because the nice thing about your blending brushes is you just keep going with them until you like the effect. So I can go straight over the top of that, and I can keep going until I get the effect that I want. And I'm sort of going to go over the marks that I've already made. So you can start to see it's coming together, and I'm going to keep going until I like what I've got. So I'm just going to hold that there. It doesn't matter if you've got some dark, some light, that's going to add to the effect. Okay, so it's nice to have different tones of color coming through. Pop it back on again. This time I'm going to start to come down my stem, so I'm just going to hold it at the top and the bottom and go lightly. And then I'm going to just create the look of this flower. And you can see how it's coming together. I'm getting the shape. It's looking really nice. I love this effect. I just think it's so much fun to do. Trying to keep my fingers apart so I can put it in the right place. Now, part of the problems is I'm cheating a little bit because I use this same flower for the previous green one that I did. And I must admit, now I've done this twice, it definitely works better the first time because the paper was a bit stiffer. And now that I've played with it a little bit, it's softened up. Okay, I'm liking how this is looking. Can you kind of see the effect that I'm getting here? I'd like to get a little bit more of a stronger line here in the middle. So I'm just going to pop it back in position. So you might have to do this a couple of times. You may get the effect that you want easier. I think I'm using basic white cardstock here. I think maybe I should have used a thicker cardstock, like maybe basic white thick or vanilla thick, or even one of our solid colors. They're a little bit thicker in feel than the basic white. But anyway, you're getting the idea. All right, so that's looking really, really nice. It's sort of starting to get almost a bit of a grunge feeling to it, which is exactly what I want. All right, happy with that. I'm now going to bring in this stamp. This is a really nice stamp. It's just words that don't really mean anything. Don't try and read too much into them. They don't really say anything, but they're just really, really a nice background. And for this, I'm using the color Soft Suede. This is one of my favorite go-to neutrals if I'm trying to create a vintage look or a grungy kind of a look. Now, I'm not going to try and stamp this straight, which is a nice thing to not have to worry about. And I'm just going to pop these over here. just like this. I'm deciding whether I need more, maybe a tiny bit. All right, so I've got kind of some grungy kind of letters appearing over one side here. And then this is probably one of my favorite stamps in the pack. This is a really nice splatter that's going to give you that aged kind of look. So I'm going to stamp it down the bottom here, and maybe a little bit over here, and maybe a little bit up here in the top. Okay. Yeah, I'm liking this. So basically I'm kind of following what I did before, but I really do like how it's turning out. So I can see my flower coming through. I've got this kind of grungy vintage look thing going on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a bit more texture. And I've got another piece that I've cut with one of the other flowers from the same Meadow dies, but this time I've just cut it from plain white vellum. And I just thought that that looked really, really nice as an extra texture to add. So I'm deciding where I want it to go. Do I want it to, I think just next to it would be nice. And I'm going to bring it down a little bit. I don't want these flowers competing too much with the one at the top. But to attach it, I'm going to use glue dots. Glue dots and vellum are usually a really good mix. And I realized I've really got to roll up this piece. But I'm going to put my vellum spots, mini dots underneath my vellum pieces. So I've got 3 flowers at the top. So I'm going to put a glue dot, a mini glue dot behind each one of those. There we go. And then I'm going to put another one down here where these stems kind of converge, because there's a little bit more room there to put another glue dot. And that's going to be enough to hold this piece in place. Plus we're going to end up putting a little tag over the top as well. So I'm going to move this so that it comes down a little bit, so it's not competing with my flower at the top too much. And that's going to add a little bit more texture. Now you can see I've got this little bit sticking out at the bottom. So I'm just going to grab my snips and I'm just going to snip that off so it doesn't hang over the edge. There we go. All right. Then I've also got, as you can see here, I've got a tag. Now on this one, I use some gold, the metallic trim. This is from the Elegantly Said suite, and it comes in gold and silver, both of them together in a pack. And it's really nice. But for today's, I thought I would do like I did on this one. I don't know if you can see here, I've used the linen thread, which is just a standard product. I'm going to use that. Oh, but first of all, I have to stamp my tag. I almost forgot. And it's easier to stamp and then cut it. I've tried doing it the other way, and it can be, because it's such a tiny little tag, it can be quite hard to get the stamping in exactly the right place on the tag. So I'm going to use my Evening Evergreen ink because it's the darkest green we have. This is actually the darkest green we've had in many, many years. Now, when you do this, because it's such a tiny stamp, just make sure you don't do what I just did, which is press too hard in the ink pad and pick up a lot of extra ink. It's really easy to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stamp that just like that, and then I'm going to put my lids back on so I don't stick my elbows in them, because I'm very good at that. And I'm going to grab out my cute little tag. See, that's that vellum flowers that I just added, but I could have added one of the others too. Like, there's so many nice ones in there. All right, so I'm going to be putting this, see how you can see where the love goes in the little window there? Perfect. So I'm going to be putting this through my cutting machine, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've now got my little tag. Here we go. Pop it back in with the other dies. Right, so to actually use this, I'm going to use my linen thread. I'm going to pop it through the hole. And sometimes it can be hard to get your ribbon to stay, or your trim to stay where you want it to. So I'm going to thread it through the hole, and I'm going to make it basically go where I want it to. First of all, I'm just going to tie it like right over left. Actually, this was left over right, but same thing. Just like the beginning of tying a shoelace. And then I'm going to move it so that the two ends are on the front here. So it's just through the back, but I've actually moved it around here so it's on the front. And then I'm going to tie a bow. Just like that. And then we're going to bring the thread, the ends in so that the loops are small. There we go, just like that. And then to make it stay there so that because otherwise what can happen really easily is that the bow can kind of fall around and end up where you don't want it. So what I do is I get my mini glue dots and I grab my bone folder and I'm going to pick up a glue dot with the end. And then I'm going to pop it right here on the back where no one can see it, but it's going to hold my bow in place. Just like that. Okay, so now that bow's not going anywhere, and then I'm going to get my scissors and cut that off. So I just need to grab a mini dimensional. Let's grab one from here and pop this on the back, and then we're just going to pop this wherever you think it would look good. But the dimensional just makes it sit on there really nicely. Now I've actually already pulled the back, the adhesive back off this, but it's really, really easy to do. If you've got a pair of scissors or a pokey tool close by, grab hold of them and then just pop it down between the adhesive backing and the piece here on top. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this onto my card. Now I find I start with one corner, I push one corner down and then I line up. And if you're using grid paper, it does actually make it easier to get your lines straight. So you can see this stuff is called grid paper. It's great. I love it. Use it under all my work. It does make me get things much straighter. So I've got this lined up the side here, and then whoop, no, that's not quite right. So I'm going to start, and it's forgiving. You can move it. It's not going to stick down permanently. Okay, I'm going to make sure that this one now is lined up next along to this, parallel to this edge here, and then across the top. Right, so sort of you can press down over the whole thing and it's staying on there really quite nicely. All right, so we've just got a couple of final touches now. One is we want to put this little butterfly on. Now the butterfly is also cut from the Meadow dies. You can see him here, this one. There's also a half butterfly that might be, you know, lighting on a flower or something like that, or flying off to the side. This one is the one I wanted to use today though. So to attach it, I've cut my butterfly from Shimmer Vellum, and I've used the Evening Evergreen, which is the same color as this, but it's lovely and shiny. And I'm just going to attach it with a glue dot. So I'm going to put it right here on the glue dot, give it a push and pull it off so the glue dot comes as well. And I'm going to pop it right up here near the top corner. And then I'm going to give a medium-sized gilded gem, one of these gorgeous, these are gold and shiny and look kind of faceted. I really like the way they look. And the other thing you might want to do, if you've used glue dots rather than any other kind of glue, you can then pop up the wings so it looks like it really is flying off somewhere. And there you go. I've actually already, as you can see, attached my Evening Evergreen piece to my white card base. I just used Tombow for that, but you can use whatever glue you like. And as you can see, I've got a few different versions of the same card here. So this one I've just used the linen trim, and here I used the linen trim. Here I've used the gold metallic trim from the Elegantly Said twine bundle. But it doesn't really matter, which you could use whatever pieces you have. I think they all look nice. I think the different textures in the designer series paper really bring it all together, and it gives you each time a little bit of a different look. So this one's the wood grain, this one's the stone, and this one's the brickwork, and I like them all. It's hard to pick one. So do you have a favorite? You can let me know in the comments if you like which one you prefer. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so you can see when I do new stuff. And I do post new things really often, and I also go live once a week every Sunday night. I hope wherever you are, you have a fantastic day or a great week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.